All right, it's day 5 of Fire Academy. So today we covered a lot of PowerPoints again, but it was construction and how homes are built and how it affects fires, when you're going in to put out a fire, what to look for. So very interesting. I have a property that burned down about 6 months ago, and I'm going through a large insurance claim on it, and I've done a lot of construction on it as far as framing it out. Next weekend, I'm actually installing trusses. I have to rent a forklift and put new trusses in because a lot of the trusses were built, so we demoed that. So going through that experience gave me a lot of insight into the construction piece here. So it wasn't too difficult for me. We had 2 quizzes. Somebody in our class failed the first quiz. I believe everybody passed the second quiz. I got like an 85 or 90% on the. I got 90% on the first one, and then like an 87% on the second one. I'm happy with that. You need a 70 to pass, you know. There were some questions that were worded a little bit interestingly, to say the least. But anyways, yeah, lots of construction talk, a lot of roof talk, different roof types, flat roof, pitch roof, truss, this, 2x6, 2x4 insulation, cutting a hole in the floor to get access to the basement, and how basement fires are the most dangerous fires to have because there might not be ventilation, there might not be windows, there might not be an escape. When there's a basement fire, the smoke is all traveling up the staircase and out the door. If there's no other ventilation, right? And you have to go into that smoke down, put out the fire, which creates more smoke, which makes it a big mess down there. And there's only one exit, which is up the stairs. So that becomes a fairly tricky problem. A lot of the times, if there's a basement fire as well, it'll burn the subfloor. And a lot of firefighters will walk in the front door. They get, even 5 feet from the front door, the floor collapses, they fall down. That's a scary situation. And a lot of people have lost their lives in the firefighting service to an event like that. Talked about a lot about windows as well. So single hung, double hung. A lot about doors, hollow core, solid core, fire doors. We talked a lot about like commercial staircases, right? Fire rated staircases, traditional like open staircases. So yeah, just diving deep into the construction and how, not so much how fire, we haven't talked yet about how fire travels through these things. This was more so just a general understanding of construction, so you know what to look for when diving into a property. We talked about looking for air conditioning units hanging out of windows so it doesn't fall and hit somebody on the ground. We talked about cutting a hole in the roof, venting the roof. We talked about OSB versus plywood. A lot of the products that are made today have glues, have plastics, have very harmful things that give off gas when they're lit on fire. You know, back in the day, it was a lot more wood. I'm looking at my floor and my trim now. My trim is all like wood trim. Sure, it's seal coated, but nowadays they even make PVC trim, and PVC trim smoke is very dangerous to inhale as a firefighter, or as anybody for that matter. A lot of the glues we use nowadays. So there's just much more things. Construction as a whole is expensive, so they're always trying to find ways to make things cheaper and more affordable to build homes, right? So by doing that, they're switching to a lot to plastics and glues, and trying out these new products. But these products give off very dangerous chemicals when burnt, more so than back in the day, when just regular wood was used. Certainly, we've moved away from like asbestos insulation or asbestos flooring, for example. We know when that's disturbed and you breathe that in, it's very dangerous. So certainly some things have gotten better, but some things have also gotten worse. We talked about mobile homes, and we talked about precast or prefabricated trusses, prefabricated cement walls that you get on site and tilt up, and how the concrete, we talked about like concrete and how it's super resistive to fire, steel beams super resistive to fire. So there's basically 5 classes of property, and you can tell a lot by diving into those classes, right? The first class is concrete and steel. It's the most fire resistive. all the way down to 2, 3, 4, class 5. Class 5 is your traditional single family home. That's mainly all wood and frame. It's going to burn at a much faster rate and has a way higher chance of collapse than a concrete and steel building, for example. So that's something you got to note. The safe zone is 1.5 times the height of the building, or the collapse zone, sorry. So if a building is 20 feet tall, and it were to like collapse, right? The building would fall. Let's say you're parking your rig in the street. If you look at that building and it's looking like it's going to collapse and it's going to fall, you don't want to park your rig within a space or set up shop where that could fall on you and damage or hurt people, you know? So you want to be 1.5 times. If it's a 20-foot tall, you want to be 30 feet away. So if it falls 20 feet, you got a 10-foot leeway. So park your truck over there, stand over there. You also want to pay attention and park on corners, because corners are the most structurally sound places of a building. So just kind of diving into the construction side of things there. Yeah, another PowerPoint. On Monday, which will be day 6, we have our first exam. And then on Tuesday, I believe we're getting into our gear. Probably just a lot of dressing, undressing, dressing, undressing, learning all the equipment, PPE, it's called personal protection equipment. Super excited to kind of dive in there. So first week is down, 8 more weeks to go for basic fire academy in Chicago, or in Illinois. This is the Romeoville class. So cheers. Hopefully this was helpful and interesting for you. Hope you have a great night. Bye.